Daniel Lamarre, it's great to see you in Sydney. Now, I thought you might have been a circus runaway, but no, you started life as a journalist.
That's correct, and I've been in the business for quite a while.
So how did you end up joining Cirque du Soleil?
Yeah, it's amazing. I had a great relationship with the founders, and when I became the CEO of a TV network, I started doing some TV shows with Cirque, and then out of the blue, the founder called me from London saying, "You're going to join the circus."
And this fellow, Guy Laliberté, he started in the 1980s with a troupe of performers. Just describe the organisation today.
Yeah, it's quite amazing because in the early days I used to watch this bunch of street performers, and today being part of an organization of 5,000 employees traveling in 450 cities around the world, it's quite an amazing experience for us.
It is enormous, this business, and it is all about the people, isn't it?
Totally. And I always say to the people that are not artists, if we can do as good as our artists are doing on stage, the company will continue to be successful.
Daniel, your headquarters in Montreal, it must be quite unusual, really.
Yeah, I have the feeling sometimes I work at United Nations because there are people coming from all over the world, from 48 different nationalities. As a matter of fact, a lot of our executives come from Australia.
Well, including your number two, is that right?
That's correct. Finn Taylor, who's in charge of all of our touring business, joined the circus when we were visiting here in Sydney, and now he's one of our key players in the organization.
And presumably back at HQ, there are also a lot of, training facilities?
Yes, we do. We have major studio, we have a school, circus art school. So it's a campus really that we have, and that's where we create and produce all our new shows.
Something I was not aware of was how important Las Vegas is to the model. Why?
Yeah, we changed Las Vegas. When we opened our first shows, gambling accounted for 85%. Today, gambling accounts only for 35%. Las Vegas has become an entertainment city, and Cirque du Soleil, with 7 shows, is a big portion of that.
Now, part of your DNA at Cirque du Soleil is this constant reinvention. How do you drive that creativity side?
Yeah, we do a lot of different things. We're very keen in casting new talents all the time, bring new creators. And the one thing that people don't realize is how much money we invest in research and development. Technologies is really part of what Cirque is going to become more and more in the future. Technologies that will enhance the human performance.
Yeah, so special effects overlaying your special performers.
Totally, and we are in the lookout all the time. We work with a lot of different universities around the world. We work with a lot of technologies organizations such as SAP, for instance, that brought us a new technology for the Avatar show with James Cameron. That's what we do all the time, searching for new technologies and new ideas.
Something that struck me was that your founder sold out essentially to private equity in 2015 and 60% to TPG. Australians know TPG well. I'm wondering, how do you manage the tension between the creativity side and the returns that presumably TPG would like to see? Yeah,
I like to say to my partners from TPG, if you want to deal with financial issues, just talk to me. Leave our creators alone. And I never had any issues because none of them thought that they could create a show of Cirque du Soleil. So I'm trying to isolate our creators from the business reality, that they can continue to be free and bring crazy ideas. And then at the end of the day, it's for us to make sure that those crazy ideas make business sense.
Well, exactly, because every time you do a new show, there's another risk. How do you decide how much to invest?
Yeah, I like to say to people that dollars is not a guarantee of success. It's creativity that will ensure that you have a success. I often say if you have a great show, you have a great business. If you don't have a good show, you have no business.
And Daniel, how do you decide which markets to go into and which markets to take shows back to?
Yeah, we have established, a touring plan by which we would visit all the big cities such as Sydney, Melbourne, and all the big cities around the world at least every second year. And then the secondary markets will visit maybe every third years. But we like to establish our brand in important countries. Australia now is considered for us a Cirque du Soleil country. Now we're trying to develop China, which is brand new to us. So we go step by step in a very modest way, try to establish our brand in all the major countries around the world.
Well, China must be particularly fascinating. What's been the response from the Chinese audience?
So far, very good. I was in China 10 times over the last year because this is a priority for us, and so far we're very happy with the public reaction.
I mentioned TPG and returns. In fact, I'm quite surprised that they've got into the business. Now, how does the balance go between your sponsorship revenues and your subscriptions, your tickets? Because in other areas, including the media, that's been disrupted a lot.
Yeah. In our case, fortunately, ticket sales account for almost 90% of our revenues. So that portion has not been disrupted in any way. So that's why we continue, and I like to say to people, when they ask me what I do in life, is I'm selling tickets, because the more tickets we sell, the better the company is.
I mentioned your great assets, your people. Now, work health and safety must be very important. The audience comes expecting people to take risks. They see risks being taken. How do you manage those risks? Because there have been a couple of fatalities, haven't there?
Yeah, and it's a tough part of what we do. And on one end, we have to control our people because they are risk taker by definition. They like to push their own boundaries and go further. So we have some very, very tight safety measure to make sure that we don't push too hard.
You're expanding beyond the Cirque du Soleil show itself as well, aren't you?
Yeah, we bought Blue Man Group last year, which is bringing totally a new category of shows. And in the future, what you're going to see is more and more different type of content, because the Cirque du Soleil is the unique distribution machine. There is no other entertainment company that tour in 450 cities around the world. So that distribution system we have, now we can bring it to tour other type of content than only Cirque show.
And for your employees, what is morale like at Cirque du Soleil? And what do they come to Cirque du Soleil for?
It's to have the opportunity, because it's very tough for an artist to have a decent living in today's world. So all our artists at Cirque are very well treated, which is great, and the morale is very, very high.
And they're paid well, because they are actors after all.
Yeah, no, they are. They are paid very well. And when someone is asking me, what's the meaning of my job is to have the privilege of providing jobs for artists. Because artists, by definition, have a very, very tough time being able to live decently, and at Cirque, they have that opportunity.
And what are your favorite shows? There are so many, of course. You mentioned Avatar.
Yeah, Avatar was a big breakthrough. I would say emotionally for me, to be the first entertainment company to convince the Beatles to give us their catalog to do a show was for me a personal breakthrough.
And so finally, when do you expect to head back to Australia?
Pretty soon. We come here every second year, so we should be here next year, yes.
Daniel Lamarre, it's been a delight to talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.